All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com Hit the Ice show. I'm here, as always, with Steve Homercleese Bauer. We're going to talk through this 12-game slate. Lots to talk about. Alex Osmo Baker will be joining us in about 45 minutes, so we're going to try to get through all 12 games. Get your questions in for Alex once we start getting him on the line. And I'll just repeat this a bunch of times as we get new viewers. But yeah, any questions for Osmo about NHL can be in the chat, in the Slack, whatever you want. Steve, how are you doing today? I know you're excited about this 12-game slate.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Finally, we got a decent sized slate. I mean, I think there's only been a couple of them so far this year. It's been kind of a weak schedule for the early part of the season, and NBA hasn't even started yet. So a little surprising there. But finally, yeah, 12 games. So tons of options tonight.
Yeah, tons to talk about. Some games more than others, but we've got a few high totals. We've got some backups going, which is weird. Were you surprised to see as many backup goalies going tonight? I mean, there were only 3 games last night. There's no games tomorrow.
There's nothing tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
That is surprising.
That was the one thing I thought was super weird. It's like 4 or 5 teams are starting their backups voluntarily. So I don't understand why, but I guess that's not really for us to understand. So what do you think of the slate in general? I know we talked a little bit about kind of ownership, but I don't think it's going to have a big effect on tonight. I don't think anybody's going to be outrageously owned. But what do you think about this slate overall?
I think there's a lot of mispricings on DraftKings. I think they've really over adjusted to early season results. And so, people that are kind of up on their projections and stuff like that should have a pretty good night tonight. So looking forward to that. Hopefully you don't get caught in trap of chasing point scoring without looking at salary and stuff like that. So overall, I like it. There's a few key spots that I would want to target tonight. With 12 games, it's hard to narrow it down sometimes, but there's a few key targets for me tonight, and not having to worry about ownership is pretty nice too.
Yep, I'm right there with you. There's 4 or 5 spots probably that I really, really love, and then I'm just going to mix and match everywhere else. You planning on MMEing tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really good night for that. There is a mini-max tournament on DraftKings if you guys want to try out MME. You can go on Fantasy Cruncher. We have it on Osmo.com. So if you subscribe to that, this would be a perfect night to start out with NHL mass multi-entry. Just getting some housekeeping out of the way. We've got the power play articles, power play article from VOTS, Spotlight Stacks article from myself, projections from myself on the site, and then Osmo has his rankings. I believe they're out right now, if not in the next couple minutes. So check those out if you are a premium member. If you're not a premium member, now would be a good time to sign up with the 12-game slate on tap for tonight. All right, let's start this. Let's go Edmonton and Boston. We have Cam Talbot going up against Yaroslav Halak. 2.65 implied total for Edmonton. For Boston, 3.35. Boston's a pretty big favorite here. There's not much that I have in this game besides Boston 1's pricing really stuck out to me. And then I don't really want to go to the McDavid line. But where are you at for this game?
Yeah, the Boston top line is really expensive, and I don't think it's the greatest matchup for them in particular, especially given the slate and all the mispricing on other lines. The one thing I noticed last year with this McDavid top line is that they were, they didn't generate or give up a ton of shot attempts, but they were very high, very high event as far as quality scoring chances go. So they generated a ton and they gave up a ton. So I think there's opportunity for both lines to get some goals tonight, but just from a value perspective, the Boston top line is just a bit overpriced. So I think it's a decent enough spot for them. It's just hard to fit them in tonight.
Yeah, what is it, 22K on DraftKings to get these guys in? That really funnels you into some subpar lines that you're gonna have to pair with them, or just like one-offs. You're probably gonna double punt on D, something like that. So it's just gonna be tough to fit them in. I mean, I think they're a fine play, but with all that value on the slate, I don't know that it's necessary to go there when you're making limited lineups.
Yep.
In MME, I'm going to try to have some of them, but I bumped them up in the projections, and they're still not popping up for me. That's how expensive they are, and that's how much other value there is. What about McDavid on the other side? Are you considering going to that line? You're not getting a huge discount on them.
Yeah, they've had success in Boston during his career, but it's usually been Patrick Maroon that was doing all the damage against them. They had a problem containing the big body there.
Okay.
McDavid, he chipped in with a few assists every game. He was fine, but not really kind of what you want for his price tag. I think they're a fine option to include, but they're not going to be a priority for me tonight. It's obviously a very tough matchup with the Bergeron line. Early in the season, they've been giving up some quality scoring chances as well. Not quite what we're used to with them. Their shot share is very good. They don't give up a high number of shots, but they do give up some quality chances. So I think that plays right into McDavid's kind of style. So he's definitely in play tonight. I just wouldn't make him a priority.
Yeah, not really popping at all in my projections. I really don't have much in this game. I'd like to play Boston 1, but that's really about it. I mean, even though they are giving up some quality scoring chances, they're not a line I want to mess with on a 12-game slate. You see anything for defensemen here? Grzelcyk priced up to 3,700. Well, priced up to 3,700.
Yeah. He's got almost no floor there, so it's been pretty bad. But he is. I assume he's still on the power play unit. I didn't check to see if they took him off because he's been brutal, but.
I see him listed here at one source. Let me check another here.
I would assume he's staying there, but honestly, by now he's really done nothing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that they have this Anders Bjork up there on the power play with Boston though. That's just daily face-off though, so I'm not certain if that's gonna happen. Yeah. Because they're sitting Donato tonight.
Okay.
And replacing him with Nordstrom on the second line. So that line, it just makes it a little bit more defensive minded, and so I think it hurts both sides on the depth. So I'm not really looking at any depth plays there. Maybe just McAvoy. He's probably got the most upside from any defenseman on the Bruins, and then Clefbaum's pretty cheap for the Oilers as well.
Yeah, Clefbaum.
Those would be the only options for me.
Yeah, that's really all I have. Clefbaum, maybe if you're going to that top line, but for Edmonton, but that's really about it. Goalies in this game, I am just going to correlate tonight again, so I never have much to say about goalies. And Halak's going to be tough to fit in if you're playing Boston 1, so I probably won't end up there much at all.
Yeah, that's fair. But I definitely do like him over early season Tuukka Rask. So it's a good, it probably takes away a little bit from the Oilers. So
yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. Opening night.
Yeah, it's taken him a while every year to get into the groove, to get going. He usually picks it up around November, so we'll see.
All right. All right, let's go to Washington and New Jersey. 6.5 total here. 3.17 for Washington, 3.33 for New Jersey. We have Phoenix Copley going for Washington, a name that I did not know until this morning. And then Keith Kincaid going for New Jersey. We're expecting a lot of shots here. I think we're going to see one of the chalkier, quote-unquote, chalkier lines in New Jersey 1. But I love them. I'm not worried about them getting like over 15% ownership on a 12-game slate. And I think this is a really awesome matchup for them. Where are you at here?
Yeah, hopefully they fly a little under the radar. They're popping in some early projections that I'm seeing. But for those who aren't, maybe not using the same ones or whatever, maybe it gets overlooked a little bit just given the Capitals, how good of a team they are. But really, it's their offense that's been great, and defensively they've been horrible this year. So, and both of the top two lines, I don't think they can really contain someone like the Taylor Hall and Paul Mary line with Hischier.
Yep.
So, yeah, that Devils top line, very appealing to me. In every game the Caps have played so far this year, they've had a high expected goals against at even strength or high danger scoring chances. They've been giving up a ton of those, and Holtby's not in net to save them tonight. So I just really like the Devils tonight.
Yeah, agreed. I love the Devils. No Holtby helps, and just I love playing Taylor Hall. He's under 7K. Palmieri's cheap. He sure is affordable as well. So just one of those value lines that fits really nicely with a handful of other stacks. And then I'm just going to have a ton of Taylor Hall one-offs, even if I'm not stacking New Jersey, or Taylor Hall with Vatanen or Butcher. So Vatanen plays most of the time with that top line at even strength. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, okay. That's right. Especially at home, they're the matchup pairing.
Yeah.
So it's Vatanen and I think it's Mirko Mueller. He's 2,700. I wouldn't rule him out of MME builds there. Just given the savings you get, 2,700, and he's playing with Taylor Hall at even strength. So
awesome. Yeah. I didn't see him on the top pairing there, but with Vatanen.
Yeah, he played the first game with Vatanen, and it looks like he's still up there. Awesome. So yeah, Vatanen obviously the preferred option there, but if you need the savings, Mueller's totally fine. And Will Butcher plays with them on the power play. He's not much of a shooter. He's not a floor guy, but decent enough in GPPs because he can get some assists. He's definitely not a guy you would want off, I don't think. I think you want to stack him with Taylor Hall and Palmieri or whatever, something like that.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not going to Butcher unless it's with one of those guys, or at least one of those guys. He's not a floor play, like you said. He's not someone that I'm going to be one-offing. All these guys in the top unit, on the top line for the top power play unit for New Jersey, so love that correlation. And they've just been exceptional at even strength going back to the start of last season. So nothing pulling me away from New Jersey 1 year. Love the total. Love that they're at home. Washington on a road back-to-back. It's all just lining up as one of the best plays of the night. So they are on a back-to-back, but do you have any interest in Washington's stacks here?
Yeah, I mean, they're hard to rule out just given the way they've been rolling offensively. I don't think they'll be super popular tonight, but this is their second back-to-back already of the early season, so I don't have high hopes for them, but I would definitely include them tonight. I think the Ovechkin-Kuznetsov line's perfectly fine. I think the Taylor Hall line is one to trade a lot of chances. So.
Yep, that's exactly where I was going to.
And I expect that to be the matchup. So I strongly prefer the Devils top line here, but there is merit to Washington as well.
Yeah, Kuznetsov I think is a really nice mini stack if you can afford it. You're not really getting them at a discount, but in a game that's going to be super high event, we're expecting that's a really nice duo and one that's not going to have a lot of ownership despite the 6.5 total. Defenseman in this game, it's probably Carlson for Washington, and that's really it. And then we kind of talked about the Devils, but Carlson, is that your guy too?
Yeah, I think so. What's his price at tonight? I know last night he was super expensive.
65.
So he went down a bit, but I think there's just better options.
I agree.
For me.
Yep, I agree. Goalies here, Copley, Kincaid. Kincaid is actually pretty cheap, and he's expected to see a lot of shots, so I like him for 7,400.
Yeah, I have a hard time going against Washington, just given how talented their offense is. They're rolling right now too, so I don't love it. I probably won't have any of either goalie.
Okay.
Maybe they get included in some stacks, but I don't love either goalie. I think Copley's too expensive to be. I think if he was maybe around 7K, I'd take a shot at him. But that's a bit much. We haven't seen him play too much.
Right.
So yeah, there's not much of data to back it up. So.
And Washington did give up 22 high danger chances at even strength.
Yeah.
Their only other back-to-back this year, so that's a bit concerning for Copley.
Even last night they gave up a ton.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird game. I don't know if you were watching the whole thing, but I watched.
I caught some of the highlights. Yeah.
I don't know. Vegas dominated possession for quite a few stretches there. Let's go to the next game. Colorado, Buffalo. Varlamov going up against Carter Hutton. 6 total here. Haven't heard much talk about this game really, and that's always appealing when you've got a line as dominant as Colorado won. They are on the road. They're not one of these lines that pop out as far as them being a great value, but Colorado 1 is really my main interest in this game. What do you have for this one? Do you like the Buffalo side? nothing really jumping out at me outside of Colorado one.
I think Buffalo's okay. They're fine, but yeah, Colorado one is the preferred option here. Buffalo doesn't scare me defensively in any way. I think that, yeah, anytime, I haven't really heard much about McKinnon so far today, so about Colorado at all. So anytime you can get guys like that are capable of four goal games, something like that, that line's capable of putting up 3 to 4 goals. I think they're definitely worth taking a look at for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, Tyson Barrie's pretty cheap for 4,500. He has power play 1 correlation with Colorado 1, so he's a guy I'm going to have a lot of in the context of 4-man Colorado stacks. The Ike line actually hasn't been terrible defensively so far, but I would not expect that to continue. I don't know why they would all of a sudden be much better defensively. I know they're playing around with different pairings or different combinations up top.
Well, he's young and maybe just improving his overall game, I think, as well.
That's fair too. I don't know, maybe Skinner for under 5K. I know that line has played pretty well.
That's pretty nice. Yeah, that's pretty underrated there.
Yeah, so Skinner for 4,900. I think he's listed on the second power play is the only kind of gripe I have with him, but a value nonetheless, and a guy that can get it done at even strength. What else for this game? Anything else that you see? Otherwise, we can move it on.
Yeah, just Skinner there, I guess, is a decent enough one-off kind of guy. But other than that, yeah, there's not much else I like about the depth.
Interesting.
And goaltending, I don't have a strong feeling either way about either of these guys. There won't be any of my preferred plays. It would only be included in stacks kind of deal.
Huh. I'm reading the chat right now. Max from Daily Roto, correct? He says, I'm on a never-ending crusade to encourage everyone to actually look at the data and see the road back-to-back. See that road back-to-back means very little. The impactful situation is a team playing the tired end of a back-to-back at home versus a rested road team. Interesting. That's something that we could probably look into, or I should probably look into.
Yeah, that's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
For me, I just consider back-to-backs a wild card in general.
In terms of like how the team comes out?
Well, I don't make any strong assumptions either way. I don't expect the team to be brutal on the back-to-back. I don't expect them to be great.
Okay.
Usually, we've seen early in the season, guys are still pretty fresh. If they have a pretty bad first game of the back-to-back, we've seen that 3 times so far this year with Boston, San Jose, and Philly, bouncing back from getting destroyed against a good team to destroying a shittier team on the second half. So situations like that are a bit more predictable. Beyond that, I don't really read too much into the back-to-backs in general.
Yeah, definitely something. I mean, I'd like to read about that quite a bit. So Max, if you're doing an article, I'd like to read that. Eric 5858. I played my first NHL GPP. Never watched hockey. Won $75. That's a pretty nice start. 12 game slate.
Yeah.
Time to double down, right? We've got 12 game slates are a pain in the ass. 12 game slates are the best. So everyone's all over the map here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move it on to the next game. Vegas and Pittsburgh. We have Malcolm Subban going up against Casey DeSmith. Both cheap goalies, 7,300, a 6.5 total here. Most of that going to Pittsburgh, a 3.8 total for them. But they're another one that I haven't heard much talk about them. I mean, I think it's pretty daunting to try to pick a line. It seems like I never get Pittsburgh right. I know a lot of people kind of have that same feeling. You've got the Crosby line, you've got the Malkin line. I don't have a strong lean either way, but again, Vegas is on the back-to-back. Not sure exactly what that means here, but a pretty huge total for Pittsburgh. I think the second highest on the night behind Tampa Bay. So do you have a strong lean to the Crosby or Malkin line? Are you kind of avoiding this game? It's really tough for me to cross off at a 6.5 total.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Vegas top 2 lines are pretty good. They're not really lines I want to take advantage of, particularly. The Carlson line is strong possession-wise, and we saw last night, if you look at some of the data last night, the Pacioretty line had a very dominant performance. I think it was, it was against the Ovechkin line mostly, but even some against the Backstrom line, it was very dominant numbers there. So I'm, you know what, like I would even, I think I kind of like Vegas a bit more. It's kind of strange to say that. They haven't been scoring very much.
I mean, they looked great last night. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how much weight you put into the eye test, but man, they did not look like a team that should have lost whatever 5-2. I know there was an empty netter, but at times that Vegas one line looked amazing. I didn't look in to see what their possession numbers were like last night, but they definitely passed the eye test for the most part. So I have no issue going back to them. Riley Smith at 4,400 is super cheap. He's a guy that was popping as a great value in my projections. I don't know where you're at for him. I don't like playing him as a one-off.
4,400 is really cheap.
I mean, so like he's what, 2/3 of what Marchessault is in terms of price. That's kind of insane. So he was coming up as a one-off. I mean, he's not the guy I'd want a one-off on that line. It would be Marchessault, but that line as a whole with Smith at 4,400 is pretty cheap. So that's the one I want on Vegas. As far as matchups go in this game, I have that Pittsburgh rolled lines against Montreal and Washington in their first two home games. So I wouldn't see why they would want to hard match either way here with Malkin or Kessel, but usually it was Crosby last year that hard match
but I can also see, on the other hand, Vegas trying to get matchups when they can. I think they would maybe try to get out Carlson against the Crosby line.
Okay.
Whenever possible. I mean, obviously they don't have the last change, but maybe on the fly they try to do something. You see some road teams trying to do that. I mean, I'm not going to read too much into it. I think both top two Pittsburgh lines are very capable offensively, and both Vegas lines are pretty solid as well. So I think this could be a shootout. I think there's some game stack potential here. I think if anyone's playing this game, most people will be on Pittsburgh, but I just don't want to overlook Vegas at all either.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's great analysis, right? I mean, you see it's just a 2.7 total, but that Vegas top line could break the slate here, and you can fit them in. Just eyeballing it, you can fit them in.
We got two backup goalies in net too, right?
Yeah, I mean, DeSmith and Subban, who's been inconsistent at best in the NHL. Blue line here, I'll try to move it along quicker. We kind of spent a lot of time on this game. We've got 8 more to go until Alex gets on. Blue line, do you have any strong opinions here? I've got just Colin Miller.
Miller.
Yeah, 4,100.
He's, he didn't hit the net a lot last night, but him and Pacioretty each had 9 individual shot attempts. So both guys I'm interested in here.
Yeah.
And they played together. So I'll probably have a few of them together. Miller, Pacioretty, even Nozick had a lot of shot attempts as well.
Mm-hmm. He looked good.
So, he's pretty, and I don't know, is he still really cheap? I think he's like 3K or something.
Yeah, 3K. Yeah.
So I'll be playing him again tonight.
Yeah, you're talking me into some Vegas here, so I'm excited about that. Probably going to do some tweaking on the projections, especially that we don't have clear matchups as far as Pittsburgh trying to hard match. All right, let's go.
I don't even think you need much. I don't see them being popular, so I don't think you need much of them at all to get over the field. So
yeah,
that's the appealing part for me.
Right. I mean, if you have 6 or 7 or 8% or something in your crunch, you're going to be twice the field, probably maybe 3 times the field. So that is pretty appealing on Vegas's side. San Jose and the New York Rangers. We've got Aaron Dell going up against Henrik Lundqvist. Another pair of cheap goalies here. Dell at 7,400, Lundqvist 7,200. As far as offense goes in this game, it's a 6 total. Most of that, or the majority of that, going to San Jose, 3.2, 2.8 for the Rangers. I'm really looking at that Pavelski, LeBanc, and Evander Kane line. They had success right off the bat. Missed out on it the first time because of the delayed start.
But that's a shame.
So now kind of the secret's out of the bag. I would like to play them in their first game. But Brent Burns also 6,400. So you can go 4-man stack pretty easily here with San Jose's top line and Burns. Yeah,
for sure. If you just look at these two teams from a shot attempt perspective, it's so lopsided in favor of San Jose. It's not even funny at 5-on-5. I think this is just a complete smash spot. I think that, all three San Jose top nine forward lines, or their top three forward lines, top nine forwards, are pretty solid overall possession players. So, but I love that top line. That would be the top priority for sure. But I also will have some of the Couture line in my lineups as well.
And it's, as far as what it was morning skate, it was Couture with Hurdle and Timo Meier, right?
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
That's a really well constructed line as well, and decent value too. So that's a line that's going to be another one that's like 2 to 5% at most, and that's a really solid line with a good matchup as well. The Rangers took Chris Kreider off that top line, so it's going to be Zibanejad with Vucinovic and Jesper Fast. Is that what you're seeing as well? I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
That kind of takes the appeal away from me.
Yeah, and then Hayes, VC, and Spooner, and then Kreider way down. We're all down with Zuccarello and Howden. Yeah, that's interesting. Different combos, trying out something different here. They're actually they healthy scratched Kevin Shattenkirk. So and so that's a bit surprising. And Pionk, yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really interested in the Rangers at all, and who knows how they're going to match up. So it's hard to particularly pinpoint where you want to go.
Yeah, I don't have any
on the Shark side. I mean, like from a matchup perspective, it's hard to choose which Sharks line to target based on individual matchups. So yeah, overall, just not super interested in the Rangers side here.
All right, I'm right there with you. So any goalies, are you taking some chances with some Hank one-offs? At 7,200, he's probably going to see a lot of shots.
Yeah, he's going to see a ton of volume if he has one of his top 99% kind of games, 95% kind of games. He'll really pay off here at a cheap price tag.
Yep.
So he's projecting pretty well for me based on the volume he's going to see.
Yeah,
if he has a strong game, he could pay off in GPPs. So he's probably my most interesting piece on the Rangers side.
Awesome. All right, let's move it on to the next game. Columbus and Florida, Korpisalo and James Reimer. 6 total here. We've got a well underpriced Barkov line for Florida. That's one that popped for me instantly this morning. I don't really love the Columbus side for this, but just talk about this game as a whole. It's really just mostly Florida one for me here.
Yeah, Florida's pretty solid team. Columbus hasn't been as good defensively with Seth Jones out, and I guess Dubinsky's out now too. So I know that top line kind of trades chances for Columbus. So I do like Barkov here. He'll probably get that matchup. I think that top line's definitely a good option tonight.
Yeah, and you have it as Barkov against the Dubois, Atkinson, Panarin line?
Yeah, okay. For sure.
Awesome. Just wanted to make sure on that. So that's a matchup that I think, well, they'll probably trade chances more than anything, but with Florida one being so underpriced, that's a really fun matchup for me. What about Trocheck, Huberdeau, and Mike Hoffman? Those guys are all on the top power play with Dadonov and Barkov, so they're running 5 forwards.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to see that in the first game, how that worked out, but I imagine they still got to work through a few kinks on that.
For sure. I mean, who's playing the quarterback? Do you know?
No, I didn't get a chance to see that game. Could look it up.
I wonder how they're doing that. But it's just I don't know. It's an interesting concept at the very least. So no Yandel or Ekblad on the top power play then.
That's a problem. I wonder how long this is going to last. I don't see it lasting that long.
I mean,
they're going to want something's going to happen, whether they give up some shorthanded goals or just can't get it going. They'll put a defenseman back there.
Yeah, I would expect to see that soon. Ekblad is 4,300. He's a guy that shoots it quite a bit, or at least he has big stretches where he does that. He's the guy I prefer on Florida's side, and then it's Werenski and maybe Ryan Murray if you're looking to punt on Columbus' side for me.
Yeah. Werenski's showing up a lot in projections as well. He's, with no Seth Jones, he's getting most of the action here. And I can't remember if he just said that. I didn't hear what he said. If Ryan Murray is also a guy to include here at 3K.
Yep, he's 3,200, 37
yeah.
on FanDuel. I mean, he's gotten 25 minutes in 2 out of the first 3 games, so kind of
Yeah.
have to have him up there. Power play 2 duties as well, so nothing wrong with that at 3,200.
Yeah, and I noticed they're trying to really balance out their power play units. They switched them up a little bit today. They moved Atkinson off that top unit, and they put Duclair up there.
Okay.
So they're just trying to balance it a bit. So if they're doing that, I think Murray's probably going to get a bit more ice time on the power play as well.
Okay. Yeah. Oh wait, I actually did see something about that. You're probably right on that. I'm trying to get to Columbus, but it's not loaded.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't see. No, that's what they're doing. Yeah. So the top unit, they just switched Atkinson with Duclair. And then the second unit has Jenner, Wenberg, Bjorkstrand, Murray, and Atkinson.
Cool. All right, that's about all I have on that game. Reimer's cheap, 7,300, slots in nicely for even more value. I think shot volume won't be an issue for him here. Florida's not the best at shot suppression, and he's a home favorite, and he's 7,300. So that's the guy.
Yeah,
I like.
yeah, it's hard not to like that.
Yeah. No Bobrovsky in this game also is a boost to Florida, one of the best goaltenders in the NHL, obviously.
Yeah. That's surprising. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to limit his minutes throughout the year or early in the year. Maybe he's dealing with some nagging kind of injury.
I guess maybe
he's
just keep it fresh
up
early. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess better for Florida, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Kings and Canadiens. 5.5 total. One of the few 5.5 totals on the slate here. Pretty split evenly. It's -110 both ways is what I'm seeing right now. Maybe a slight edge to Montreal. Carey Price is 7K. He's going to be pretty popular as a one-off. A lot of casual people will be on him, I think. Don't hate him for 7K and at home. But this one is pretty much one of 2 games that I don't really have anything I like besides Brendan Gallagher for 4,800. That's about it.
Yeah, he's always a strong value given his shot rate and high danger chances. Yeah, I don't know. If we're talking about any offense here, I'd probably be on the Kings. I think they're a better team overall. But I just don't, they don't really stand out tonight as on a slate this big. So I can't see myself really going there. I do have interest in Price at 7K. They opened up as a -135 favorite, and the pricing on the 2 goaltenders is just a little bit odd to me. Yeah. So I'll just take advantage of the mispricing there, and I'll probably play a decent amount of Carey Price.
Yep. So you'd be a guy I would like to one off here.
Yeah.
Do you like Petrie? Do you like Drew Doughty here? Because I'm not getting to much besides, like I said, Gallagher, and then Petrie sometimes comes along if I'm running like 3-3-2.
Yeah, I think the Kings aren't really a team I generally want to go against, want to target. I don't think they're that bad defensively, so right. It just doesn't. This is not really any appealing parts of this matchup for me, I think. And
then is Jack Campbell a cross off for you at 8,100?
He's a bit overpriced. I wouldn't choose to put him in any of my lineups, but I wouldn't rule him out of MME builds either. So we'll see how much he pops up, but I can't imagine he pops up much.
He was projecting really well for me because he's got a very good high danger save percentage, but it's a small sample for him, so I'm not putting too much weight into that just yet. Let's go to Vancouver and Tampa Bay. We have a very lopsided game here. According to Vegas, Tampa is a -275 favorite. 3.8 total here. Vasilevsky in net, $8,500. That's super, super expensive. But Tampa Bay 1 is not super expensive. Stamkos, Kucherov, and Palat, who is 4,500. That's a line that's going to get some steam tonight for sure. And I'll be right there with the field and probably over it, especially on Kucherov, who's 7,500. What do you see in this game? Anything jumping out to you?
All Tampa all the time. Yeah. Both the top 2 lines are very appealing. Braden Point's under 5K, and he's on the top power play unit there. Vancouver's been pretty poor on the penalty kill in the early going. They had problems last year. They didn't kill penalties very well. And, so Tampa power play tonight, absolutely. Palat's a nice value up there with skating with Kucherov and Stamkos. So if you're doing cash games and you can't get up to someone like Kucherov, then I don't mind plugging in someone like Palat or Point there. They would be the best way to get exposure. But one of the top plays is Hedman at 5,900 is pretty reasonable, quarterbacking that top power play unit. Yeah, I really like the spot for him tonight.
Are you reading the chat right now? We got
YouTuber.
Yeah, the YouTube chat. All the DR guys in here. Well, a couple of them.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know Colin, but I see he did have quite a huge weekend. So congrats on that. Quite a few commas in the old DraftKings account there, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, there's Drewby. Oh,
yeah.
What's up, buddy?
Drewby, that's what they call him, Drewby.
Yeah. I met Drewby. He's a great guy.
Yeah. All right, so this game is basically just about Tampa. I'm not looking at much, if anything, at all on the Vancouver side. Just a 2.18 total is what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much a cross-off for me. Hedman also under 5,900. I didn't see if you mentioned him, or I didn't catch that if you mentioned him, but he's another one that's
sorry, just cut out a little bit for me. Which guy were you talking about?
Hedman.
Oh, okay, yeah, Hedman. Yeah, for sure. I love Hedman tonight. He's probably gonna be one of my highest on defensemen, I think.
Yep, me too. All right, let's go to Toronto and Detroit. Another 6.5 total. We have Frederik Andersen going up against Jimmy Howard. Toronto 3.64 total right now, 2.86 for Detroit. Do you think Toronto's going to be popular on this slate? I can't really get a feel for them. Usually, like if they're at home here, they would be massively popular, but on the road, I don't really love the Matthews line. I think I would go to Tavares Marner, but man, they're just so expensive that it's gonna be tough for me to get there.
I do like that a lot, that they priced them up. That's great.
Yeah.
I do like them a lot. I know Matthews in particular has always done well against the wings. And just in general, he's a solid player. Now he's getting more power play ice time, so just a really good spot overall for him. Moving Kapanen up there over Ennis was massive. He would be a cheaper way to get exposure on a site like FanDuel. I think he's a bit too expensive on DraftKings, though. Let me just see what his price is here.
47.
40. Oh, actually, that's not bad at all. Not too bad considering how much he's been shooting it there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like that. The price on Marlowe and Kapanen aren't too bad. Just you're not going to be able to do any of those power play stacks with Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Riley. Those guys are way overpriced. Kadri, 4,800. Maybe he's a cheap way to get exposure to that power play. That's about all I can really see. Yeah, I mean, it's a good spot for Toronto, but I'm not going to force him in at those prices, I think.
All right. Yeah, that, I like I said, I prefer Tavares Marner, but so expensive. Like they're more expensive as a duo than some lines tonight that I like. So it's just kind of ridiculous. Like you can get
there's just so much value on the slate. I don't see the need to pay up like that and limit yourself in other spots. I know maybe you use them with a lot of the very cheap options. Like we said, there are some mispricings tonight, so maybe you can still fit them in. But I think it just kind of limits you.
Yeah. Evan in chat. Yeah, nothing wrong with tons of commas. No, I'm jealous for sure. I wish I had some commas like that in my account. That's pretty crazy stuff. Larkin, Mantha, and Justin Abdelkader. Obviously, the other winger there, just got to get him up on line one. That line was absolutely rolling with Nyquist up there, and Larkin and Mantha, and Blashill is going to just break it apart. And then for a second, this morning, we saw that Larkin was not skating. Or I'm sorry, Abdelkader was not skating. And we thought maybe that we would get Nyquist back up there, but no, Abdelkader's expected to play here. So it's just going to be Larkin and Mantha for the most part. It's going to be a super high event game. So I like that actually a lot in GPPs, but there's not really a defenseman I want to pair with them.
Yeah, I'm seeing this Philip Roenick. I probably butchered that, but He's top power play unit. He's showing up, and some sites are projecting him pretty high, just given his position there. I might include him in some of those, but yeah, we did touch on this yesterday with them putting Applicator up there, so it's kind of disappointing considering how good their possession numbers looked early in the season. But yeah, I will maybe do some Larkin, Mantha, and that Roenick guy.
Yeah, right. It's just because for the power play correlation, I suppose, and he's.
But even then, there's not a great correlation on this team in general, so
yeah,
that's kind of tough.
Their lines get thrown in the blender anyways after the first period, half the game. So
yeah, I think Nyquist moving down to the second line. That line has some upside. They wouldn't be priorities for me tonight, but they're worth a look. They're not that expensive, I don't think. Yeah, they're all around 45 or less. Yeah, it's a pretty cheap line. You know, if you wanted to do some kind of game stack or whatever, you could fit that in.
Yeah.
Fit that second line.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, quite a bit of value on the wing side at the very least. So, not the worst idea in the world. Let's go to Winnipeg and Nashville. We are now moving into the 8 Eastern games. We'll go through these quickly, and then Alex Osmo Baker will join us. All right. 6 total here. Connor Hellebuck going up against Pekka Rinne. We have 2.85 total for Winnipeg, 3.15 for Nashville. Top line for Nashville was popping up for me quite a bit. Just great possession numbers. They're at home. Winnipeg is not as daunting when they're on the road. And if I do remember correctly, most of the series when they played in the conference finals, they were high-scoring games. Is that kind of how you remember it as well?
Yeah, at least on Winnipeg's side.
Yeah.
They did quite well in Nashville. Specifically, I think it was the Scheifele. Scheifele was scoring a lot against them in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah.
I remember
the road team won most of the games.
Yeah. I remember Nashville had a few big games in that series as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember because I kept playing Nashville 2, as I'm known to do. Their fancy numbers get me every single time. I don't know.
Tricky.
I mean,
Trappy.
They're just so cheap. Again, Nashville 2. Like, what do you get them for? Just over $13K on DraftKings? I mean, numbers like that, they shouldn't be $13K, so they're just going to keep popping up in my model. It's kind of ridiculous.
You know what? I'm more interested in the two top lines of these two teams. I think they probably end up matching up. I think they're more inclined to trade chances than the second lines, but I'd have to look a little bit closer into that. In general, I have just the feeling that this top 6 kind of cancels each other out a bit.
So you're kind of avoiding it?
Yeah, I just don't have a great feeling on either side. Like, I don't love the matchup for either side.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, Scheifele, Connor, Wheeler are pretty matchup proof.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I just would much prefer them at home here. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I agree. There's not I don't have a great feel for this one all around. Like, would you be shocked if either side went nuts? I wouldn't.
Well, so I think the power plays of both sides are pretty interesting. I think their weakness has been penalties and penalty killing so far. I think that's kind of where you want to be attacking these two teams.
Okay. Yeah, that's good advice for sure. Subban is 5,500. Roman Josi was coming up as a great value for me at 5K, top pairing.
Yeah, 5K? Come on.
That's outrageous. And then on the other side, Bufflin for 4,700.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's just like head-scratching pricing on DK all around today. Anything else in this game? You got any goalie talk? Otherwise, we can go to Chicago and Minnesota.
These goalies would be a little risky given the potential for offense on both sides. So not a priority, but it would be a game stack. Or not game stack, just a stacking consideration. That's all.
All right. Let's go to Chicago and Minnesota. We have Cam Ward going up against Devin Dubnyk. Wild with a 3.4 total. Chicago at 2.6. Dubnyk at 7,700 is coming up in a ton of my lineups. I had to limit his exposure a little bit. Just one of the better goalies, and this is a great spot for him at home in XL. Minnesota is going to be the main talking point here. I like the Koivu, Granlund, Parise line right now. I don't know where you're at as far as a strong lean on either of the top six, but where are you at?
Yeah, I usually like to go where Granlund goes, so I think he's really the key to their
I
offense.
agree.
So yeah, I definitely like that second line there.
I don't like that they moved Granlund away from Zucker and Stahl, but it is a nice bump for a guy like Parise who, he kind of needs a guy like Granlund on his line to be at his best. So 5,600 for Parise. Granlund is also a nice value at 5,500, but his value mostly comes in assists. He's not a guy that's going to put up, 2-3 goal performances for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I just think both lines are just way too cheap to not have a lot of exposure here.
Yeah. What do you think of Eriksson Ek on that top line? I don't know how much you know about him.
Yeah, I've seen him when he gets on. His numbers are pretty good, possession numbers, I think. I can't rattle them off the top of my head or anything, but I seem to have a pretty good recollection of how he plays. So I think that's perfectly fine for them up top. I think he's a decent value, but really everybody else is super cheap on this team, so you don't have to force him in.
Yep. All right. Man. Anything else
Just trying to see if we have any data of him with his pace.
No, Eriksson
I know Kane's always done really well against the Wild in his career, but and Taves has been pretty hot to start the year. Honestly, I'm more on the Minnesota side here. There's so much better at home. I like Dubnyk and the second line the most, I think, but the top line's fine to include as well. Yeah.
You mean second line, Koivu line?
The Koivu line, yeah. The way that it's listed on Daily Faceoff right now.
Okay, cool.
Just looking at that. Yeah, Koivu, Parise, Granlund would be my preferred option in this game. Definitely the top option.
And then Dumba at $100 less than Brent Burns.
That just seems wrong, right?
Yeah. I like Dumba. Right.
As well.
Yeah. I like Dumba. I think he's good for DFS. Maybe a better DFS player than a real life defenseman, but
that's a good point. Yeah.
If he's 5K here, I'd have a bunch of him, but at 6,300, he just does not have the kind of numbers that a guy like a Brent Burns or a Hedman has, and the kind of upside I don't think. So that's really all I have.
This one guy on Chicago, this Yoki Haru, the defenseman, he missed practice with the flu, but he's supposed to play, and he gets top power play minutes tonight. The Hawks haven't been a great power play unit, but just the opportunity he's been having so far, I think he's a good value tonight at 3,600.
All right. Yeah, I agree there. I missed out on the party with him a couple nights ago, so a little bummed out on that.
Well, I'm surprised he's not 6,400 right now, the way DraftKings has been chasing
right?
points.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the last game, then we'll get Alex here. Calgary and St. Louis, we have Mike Smith going up against Jake Allen. This one's not one that I have a ton of exposure to. Tarasenko is at 7K. I think he's playable as a one-off or in a two-man with Parayko or Pietrangelo, but not really on Calgary here. Neither line is popping for me. Do you see anything that I'm missing here?
Parayko is solid. I don't love this game in general, but the Flames' power play has been pretty good to start the year, and I think the Blues have struggled a bit on the penalty kill. So, I can't see myself going there in my main lineups for tonight, but I might include them in some MME builds. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit, so I ran a crunch with 3-3-2. Yeah. I was getting some O'Reilly, Tarasenko with Parayko, and I don't mind a few of those here and there.
I do like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be the majority of my exposure in this game. And then I really I don't have much else. The second line is fine, but don't really have any power play one exposure there. So I'd rather not go there. I know Calgary was one of the most penalized teams in the NHL last year, and they were even worse on the road. So St. Louis power play is what I like here.
Yep.
All right. Let me see if I can get Alex on here without messing up the stream entirely.
Fingers crossed.
Chat, if you want to get your questions for Alex, that would be great. Alex won the $8 last night. I was trying to chase him down in that.
I saw that. I saw
Yeah.
that. You had a pretty good shot there going for a while.
Who, me?
Yeah, yeah. You're right behind
Yeah.
him.
I needed the OV hat trick, and he was a guy that I was
Yeah.
underweight on. So
Yeah.
I was like, man, well, I guess I'm rooting for a guy I didn't really like all that much.
That happens all the time.
Let's see. Let me move this out of here. All right, so you went away there for a second,
No
but
worries.
let's see if I can call. Oh, wait. All right. Let me see if I can add someone here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, Alex, I can hear you, but we can't see you yet.
Let me see. Alright, can you see me?
I think here. Let me hang up on you there.
Okay.
We're gonna resume the call. All right, Steve, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So now we're gonna try to just add Alex. Jake killed Steve. Yeah.
Worst case, I can hop off and you can get Alex in.
I think we'll get it here. All right, Alex, can you hear?
Alright, what's up, guys?
All right, great.
All right, now it's just a question of me getting you both on the screen.
Don't worry about that. You can leave me off. That's cool. How's it going, Alex?
Pretty good. Good to do a show with you. I'm really excited about our NHL season, especially right now because it's kind of in between MLB and NBA. Got to have that fantasy fix every day, so I'm excited to be talking some NHL to you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to kind of hearing your thoughts, picking your brain a bit. Haven't had an opportunity to speak with you yet, so it's pretty nice opportunity here.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool to be on a show with you guys.
All right, Alex, what do you think, as I'm trying to get you guys on the screen, what do you think about this slate in its entirety? What's your kind of approach to these big ones like this, playing so many lineups like we know that you do?
Yeah, so I mean, 12-game slate, you got approached completely differently from a 3-game slate, just because I mean, there's so many different lines that you can have exposure to. You want to make sure that you're doing a good job kind of diversifying and getting exposure to a lot of different teams instead of kind of competing with yourself too much by stacking the same teams. And I think with a big slate like this, we can kind of stack up our team a little bit more. Maybe it makes sense to stack up like defenders with some of your forwards and stuff like that. Whereas like yesterday, when there's only 6 teams, you gotta kind of overlap your teams more so that you're not limiting your possibilities too much.
Okay, so differentiation is key on the bigger slates. Well, really on all slates, but you don't have to get maybe as crazy as far as just going with the teams, the lines that are most correlated.
Yeah, I mean the correlation is going to be huge because you want guys that are on the ice at the same time, obviously, and what you're really looking for is the outlier performances of the night. I mean, each line is usually expected to score around like a goal, if they're a good line. So, but what you're looking for is they're scoring like 3 goals. So you need a lot of luck, kind of, for your line to hit. Basically, your projection needs to be wrong by a lot because they got to score on a lot more chances than you'd expect them to. So that's why you kind of got to diversify a lot to different lines so you can get that one outlier. On a big slate, it's a lot more likely that one stack is going to kind of win the night.
Yeah. We got a comment that says you guys look like brothers.
Yeah, we go to the same barber.
Yeah. Alex, is there a line that is, or maybe kind of a team that is popping off for you that may be under the radar, but it's coming up as a great value? And guys, you can go on osmo.com. You can check out Alex's rankings on the site. There's actually a tab for those on the osmo.com homepage. So go check those out if you're a premium member. If you're not premium, become premium. Now would be a great time to do it with the 12-game slate. So Alex kind of gave you a few seconds to get your line that you really like there. So what do you got for us? What do you got for the people for freebie?
Alright, so the one I'm looking at is I'm sure you guys talked about this one is New Jersey versus Washington. I think Washington's on the road and they're back to back, so New Jersey's gonna have pretty good shot compared to average versus them. It seems like only yesterday New Jersey was like the worst team in the league for fantasy, but I'm really liking this. The over under for the game is 6.5, which is insane, and their team total is looking really good. What do you guys think about that line?
That's my favorite line of the night.
Yeah,
for sure.
me too.
One of them.
So good to see that. Good to see that you're on it. Although maybe now you swung the ownership a little bit, so maybe you should have chosen a different answer. But yeah, they're going to be on a ton of my lineups. I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you're right. Maybe I need to go full contrarian and just stack the Washington line that's going to be up against that line.
I mean, yeah, there's going to be chances both ways. So yeah, I have no issue with that if you want to do that. Here's a question that I kind of had. I know that NHL is not maybe your like main sport or maybe your best sport or the one you spend the most time on. But how much, if any time at all, do you spend on the actual like line matching parts? I know we've talked about this a little bit as far like in person when we met up, but just kind of tell the audience, do you spend time on that at all, or is it just basically on a team level that you're spending most of the time on NHL?
Yeah, I mean, ever since talking with you, like I've realized that line matching is super important. Usually, like I haven't been looking at that as much, like comparing the matchups on each team, compared to like their average matchup, which is something like that would be ideal. Yeah, I think NHL is cool because there's so many different things you can spend time kind of optimizing. One of the ones I miss out on a lot that you mentioned is like their line changes like 30 minutes before the game starts. If you want to really have an edge, you can follow those beat writers, kind of update all your lines. But at that point, I've like shifted on the basketball, so that's one area where a lot of you guys will have a big advantage over me.
Yeah, you're just an NHL fish. As we saw last night, you taking down the $8. So you plan that out perfectly. You take down the most entry tournament on the slate, and then you come on today, and you just no smack talk, nothing at all.
Well, I did see you were gunning for me, like throughout the night, so I was happy to come out ahead. That made it a little bit extra special. Hopefully, you'll get me back one of these nights.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, if you're gonna win everything, I mean, you pay me, so that's fine. More money in my account, I guess, indirectly.
Well, Jake, I know that last year you weren't like a big MME guy, so this year are you going all out, kind of building 150 lines?
Yeah, at least like for tonight. So they have that mini max tournament. They had it up to $1, so that's fine. It's a really good tournament if you want to get started MMEing. That's how I kind of started in baseball. So I just did that. I'm gonna just kind of experiment in those lower dollar tournaments, and then probably play like the $8 or the $5, whatever they have. The only issue I have with that is the payout structure is a lot of the times is really bad for the $8 and the $5. So kind of got to bink early. I don't want to get too discouraged by this MME stuff. But it's been okay. I mean, I had a shot last night, so that's all you can ask for, right? Is just putting yourself in position to take down a tournament and letting variance take over. Sometimes you're going to win, and sometimes you're going to come in like 6th, and your boss is just going to destroy you.
Yeah, I mean, the bankroll management is tricky in NHL. Like, fortunately, a lot of the action is at the smaller stakes, but even at $8, if you're entering 150 times, it's like $1,200. When it's a top-heavy structure, you gotta really manage your risk pretty well there. I know that I was kind of looking at my old results, and one of the things I noticed is in those $8 GPPs, although like my ROI was really solid, I'd gone through stretches where I'd lose like over 1,000 buy-ins or whatever. Or I mean, actually, I think it was a lot more than that. It might have been like a couple thousand buy-ins. So that'd be like 16K in an $8 tournament or something like that. That's the tricky part of daily fantasy. I think a lot of people don't realize is you don't really know how good you are until you play like the full season because there's so much variance.
Right. Yeah. That's one thing that I struggle with is, you think you're on top of the world after you bank a tournament or something, but I mean, you probably don't because you play so much volume. But like for lower stakes players like myself and probably for Steve too, it's always good to look at the ROI in like maybe like a month down the road or 2 months or an entire season rather than just after you win a tournament or have a big cash. So that's something I have to work on for sure, especially MMEing and taking care of my bankroll. We've got a question here. What is the best lineup construction for max GPP upside? Is it 3x3, 4x3, or 4-2, or I guess it would be like 4-2-2 or 4-2-1-1?
So I think this is a question that varies a little bit based on the slate size. But in general, I think there's more correlation between forwards on a team than there is with the defender. So like there's always a trade-off stacking more versus like optimizing your projection. And MLB, I've done a lot of research, and I found like the conventional wisdom that stacking 5 players from your team isn't always like optimal. I'm guessing in NHL there's a similar kind of thing. One thing I've been noticing that I really want to incorporate in my roster construction, it's tough when you're using a fantasy cruncher, but some lines, they'll have 2 players that are really good and one that's like really bad. Like in that kind of situation, it makes a lot of sense to kind of stack up the 2, and then maybe you have an advantage versus guys that only stack 3 players from each line, and they're looking over that one because as a whole, it doesn't look that good.
Yeah, I think that's something we talked about when you were here in Minneapolis. Just like taking the quote unquote plug and maybe downplaying their projection. And for some lines, you don't think of it as a 3-man, you think of it as maybe more of a 2-man if there's a guy on there that doesn't do a lot or maybe is just there for more puck retrieval than anything and doesn't really get in on the scoring. So hopefully I'm not making you too much of a better NHL player. That was not my goal there, but
save some money for the rest of us.
Right? Yeah, I guess I should watch what I say around Alex.
Yeah.
He's just looking for more edges. Got to get this win is a regular in chat. He asks, have you had any thought put on the sites? I'm assuming he means FanDuel and DraftKings on the NHL slates being so brutal.
Either I'm like, or you're
am
like,
I cutting out?
What was the question again?
A guy in chat says, have you had any thoughts or input with FanDuel and DraftKings about the NHL slates being brutal? I don't know if he means in terms of payout structure or number of games. I don't know what exactly.
I think he's talking about the size of the slate, just given the early season schedule.
Yeah, I think that one of the things I've noticed is hockey, it seems like there's more interest this year, so stuff's filling up pretty early, which can be frustrating. Hopefully, it's only been a little bit, so hopefully they'll kind of set the algorithm so that it's easier to play. One other thing I noticed is like actually when we're talking about stacking, this made me think of it is like a lot of times I've found that, like the positions on the lines aren't necessarily right. Like especially in previous years, it's like one line will have 2 centers and 1 wing or something like that. And that actually is really interesting on FanDuel because they don't have like a flex position. So if you like set your fantasy cruncher to be like center wing like twice, you're gonna rule out a lot of lines that don't meet that configuration. And I think there's a lot of room to be kind of clever and kind of make these lineup constructions that are a little outside the box where you're kind of taking into account those things.
Yep. Just a question that I kind of thought of as you were talking. For some people, I know we get a lot of new people joining the stream here and there, and they pop in chat and they say, I'm new to NHL DFS, and they're worried kind of about like the plays on the night. But where would you suggest if someone's getting into NHL now and maybe watching this for the first time, like what contests would you suggest they enter in? Would you suggest MME? Would you suggest like more single entry stuff? more like general stuff rather than the plays of the night, because I think those are usually pretty easy to identify once you get better at NHL DFS and any DFS sport. But what would your a few pieces of advice be to some of our newer viewers?
Yeah, definitely my number one piece of advice is if you want to win at fantasy sports, you got to play people that are worse than you. So that means, yeah, I mean, it's obvious, but you got to find those contests with the weakest fields. And I think a lot of times those are beginner contests if you're still able to play those. So that would be the number one place I recommend kind of getting your feet wet. Then I move on to the contests where pros are restricted from entering. So that would be like the mini max and stuff like that, where if someone plays a ton of volume, then they can't continue playing in there. And also, I mean, the size of the field is huge because if there's 20,000 entrants in a tournament, that means most of them are going to be recreational players because there aren't that many regulars. And those also are pretty high on my tier for entering and making a profit.
All right, good advice. We also have the NHL Primer on Osmo.com. If you just search that in Google, I don't know if it's on the homepage right now, but you can just search NHL Primer Osmo. It'll pop up. That's a free article, and I posted that on the daily email blast that we send out a couple days last week. So that's something to check out. It was written by you, Alex. For anyone watching, Steve, I didn't mean to ice you out here.
No worries.
Do you have any questions? Anything that
I did plenty of talking today.
Anything that popped into your head while Alex and I were talking?
Yeah, well, the line matching question is my first one that I wanted to get to. But the other thing I have interest in is how do you handle sample sizes as far as hockey goes, especially early in the season? As far as looking at data, how long into the season before you start weighing this year's data a little bit more heavily?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, obviously, it takes a few games to kind of accumulate the right amount of data.
Yep.
There's some tricks to it. One is instead of looking at shots on goal, you can kind of look at shots attempted, and I kind of have these baseline projections for what percentage of shots should go in if they're not power play versus if they are power play. What percentage of shots attempted should be shots on goal. So you can kind of make use of some of the numbers that come in a little bit quicker to make more accurate projections of players. I think after it probably only takes 3 or 4 games before you kind of figure out the volume of shots the guys are going to take. And then I kind of have baseline projections, as I said, for what percentage of those should turn into goals, how many assists should someone get and stuff like that. And then as the season progresses, you can kind of start changing those baseline numbers to be more reflective of the actual results.
Awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Steve? Otherwise, we can get out of here.
Yeah, that's mostly it for today. I think we covered quite a lot.
All right. Actually, let's do one more thing. So on our baseball show, Steve, I don't know if you watch, but we would pick home runs at the end.
Okay.
So I don't know how you guys want to do this. Do you want to pick a guy who's going to score a goal or a guy who maybe is going to get multiple points?
Pick a hat trick. A guy who's going to score a hat trick.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, let's go.
I like
go
that.
bold.
That's bold. That's bold. All right, Alex, you are the boss. You go first. Got everyone at your disposal.
Well, a hat trick is pretty hard to project. So I'm gonna have to pick a guy that takes a ton of shots. So one of my favorite fantasy players, I might be lagging behind a year on this one because I know last year he didn't have a great season, but is one of my favorites is Brent Burns. He can rack up the shots, and I think any night that he's on the slate, you gotta kind of put some exposure to him, so I'm gonna go with him.
Well, yeah, Brett Ritchie's not on the slate, so no Brett Ritchie for you. That's the one thing I won't forget. You said he was one of your favorite players back when I first started working. So, no Brett Ritchie. So Brent Burns, I guess you'll have to settle for.
Yeah, I mean, what more of a stud can you ask for than Brett Ritchie?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Steve, you want to go?
Yeah, I like Nikita Kucherov tonight. I think he's got a hat trick potential for sure. He shoots a decent amount, top power play exposure, top line exposure, best matchup of the night. So, yeah, definitely all over him.
Yeah, that's a really strong call as well. How could I not go with my boy Taylor Hall here? Neither of you guys took him. I thought he'd be gone by the time it got to me because we're all on New Jersey 1. But yeah, 6,800, Taylor Hall, going to be around the net quite a bit. Hopefully Washington is tired on this back-to-back. But that's all I got. So, Alex, do you want to close us out here? Thanks for joining us again, by the way. This was really fun for, I'm sure, us two and the viewers as well. So hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to all the viewers. Thanks, Steve. A great addition to our team.
Thank you.
Really looking forward to the season here. I think we got definitely the best team of any site I'm aware of, and hopefully we can give everyone the advice they need to be winning some GPPs.
Awesome. And we will not be back tomorrow, by the way. There's no games. So it's going to be either Saturday or Monday. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.